I had everything a man could want. But I still wanted her. My name's Ryan. I'm 37. I live in DC. I'm a decorated Marine vet, now mayor of the city. That kind of powerful. I've got the house, the staff, the media attention, the reputation of a war hero turned public servant. Most people think I'm the guy with the cleanest hands in politics. They don't know what I did last summer. It started with a late night on the balcony of my penthouse. You ever have one of those nights where sleep won't come, no matter how hard you try? That was me. Standing there, shirtless, beer in hand, staring out into the quiet city. That's when I saw her. She was across the courtyard in the building opposite mine. Second floor. Lights dim. Window wide open. She didn't see me at first. She was getting into the tub. And yeah, she wasn't wearing anything. I should have looked away. I didn't. I found out her name the next day. Brianna, 24. Married. Her husband, Cole, was one of the soldiers I deployed with years ago. He's still active duty, stationed overseas in Syria. I'd signed his recommendation for special ops. And now, I was watching his wife take a bath in the middle of DC while he was halfway across the world in a war zone. I told myself it was nothing. Just a moment. Just curiosity. But I couldn't stop thinking about her. Couldn't sleep. Couldn't focus. A few days later, I had someone on my team accidentally run into her at the coffee shop near her apartment. By that evening, I had her phone number. She didn't know who I was at first. Just thought I was some random guy who found her lost wallet. My assistant planted it. I texted her, "Hey, found your wallet. I'm across the street in the tall glass building. Name's Ryan." She replied, "Thanks. That's so kind of you," smiley face. If only she knew. I told her she could come pick it up that evening. She came alone. That first moment she stepped into my place, I knew I was in trouble. She wore a red hoodie. Her hair tied up, no makeup, just lip balm. She smelled like vanilla and shampoo. Her eyes, green, clear, wide, looked around the room like she didn't belong. I didn't ask about her husband. She didn't bring him up. I gave her the wallet. She gave me a smile. And then she left. But 2 days later, she came back. The next few weeks were a blur. She'd come after dark. Always after 9. Always nervous. Like she knew she was crossing a line but couldn't stop. Neither could I. It wasn't just sex. We talked. We laughed. We laid on the floor eating pizza while I told her stories about Iraq, and she told me about how lonely it was being married to a man who never came home. She said, "Sometimes I feel like a widow who doesn't know it yet." I said, "I'm sorry." But I wasn't. I was falling in love with her. And I think she was falling for me too. Then one day, she didn't show up. No call. No text. No, I can't make it. She vanished. 2 days later, I got a call from the Pentagon. Cole had been injured. Badly. He was coming home. If you're still watching, ask yourself this. Was Ryan a villain? Or just a man who fell in love at the wrong time? Hit subscribe and turn on notifications because it gets messy. Secrets, consequences, and something no one saw coming. Drop a comment. Do you think Brianna will tell Cole the truth? I hadn't heard from Brianna in 5 days. It felt like 5 years. Then my phone buzzed. Unknown number. No text. Just a missed call. I called back. No answer. An hour later, I got a message. "He's home." That's all it said. 2 words. Like a knife through the chest. Cole. I hadn't said his name out loud since the war. I tried to tell myself he'd changed. That maybe he wouldn't know. But I knew Cole. This man could read silence like a battlefield. And I was the reason his wife had that look in her eyes now. The look of someone carrying a lie that's too heavy. That night, I watched from my balcony. Their lights were on. Shadows moved behind the blinds. 2 silhouettes. One pacing. One sitting still. I wanted to believe they were okay. That maybe she had buried everything. That maybe I was just a phase she regretted. But around 1:30 a.m., the lights turned off. And my phone lit up. I can't do this. No name. No punctuation. But I knew it was from her. I didn't reply. Because I didn't want to make it worse. Because part of me still believed we could ride this out quietly. Let her be a wife again. Let me go back to being whoever I was before her. But then it happened. 3 days later, Cole showed up at City Hall. He was standing at the far end of the lobby when I walked in. Crutches, bruised face, eye contact locked. He smiled first. "Mayor Ryan," he said. "Didn't think you'd remember me." I lied. "Of course I do. It's been a long time." He chuckled. "Yeah? Yeah, lots changed." We shook hands. His grip lingered. Then he leaned in and whispered, "Just so you know, I don't blame her. Loneliness makes people do stupid things. I blame the man who knew better." And then he walked away. I stood there frozen. My security detail asked if I was okay. I wasn't, because that was a warning, not a conversation. That same night, my assistant handed me an envelope. No return address. Inside, a photo. Shirtless. Standing on my balcony. Her silhouette in the background. On the back of the photo, one word: repent. That's when it hit me. He knew everything. And he wasn't going to confront me. Not yet. He was going to destroy me. If you thought cheating was the climax, you haven't seen revenge. What Cole does next will change everything. Subscribe now. Turn on notifications. Comment below. If you were Cole, what would you do? You ever feel like you're watching your own life burn in slow motion? That was me. The photo, the message, the silence that followed. Cole didn't scream, didn't threaten, didn't post online. He watched, waited, let the guilt eat me alive from the inside out. I didn't hear from Brianna either. She vanished. She stopped answering texts, deleted social media. Her numbers stopped working. I told myself she was doing the right thing, going back to her husband, fixing her marriage. But deep down, I knew the truth. She was scared, not just of Cole, but of me. Then came the news. Cole had re-enlisted for an off-book, private contract gig overseas. He was being deployed in 2 weeks. Despite the injury, despite the trauma, he volunteered. No one does that unless they're running from something or setting something up. And I couldn't take the risk. If he went public with what he knew, it would ruin me. My name, my campaign, my legacy. And the whispers were already starting. One journalist showed up at City Hall asking questions about a woman who used to live across from my building. "Do you know her?" "No," I lied. That night, I made a call. A contact from my time in the military. Someone who handled complicated logistics in unstable regions. No names, no trace, just a favor. Just enough to make someone disappear. I didn't ask how it would be done. I just said where and when. Cole's deployment zone, near the Turkish border. That's all I gave. That's all it took. 1 week later, I got a call. A simple voice on the other end. "It's done. Helicopter went down. Mechanical failure. No survivors." I hung up, didn't speak, didn't breathe, just stared out the window. Same view I'd had when I first saw her. The next morning, I got an email. No subject, no sender, just a single video file. I opened it. It was Brianna, sitting in a dark room. No makeup. She looked straight at the camera and whispered, "If anything happens to Cole, I'm telling everyone." The screen went black. I slammed my laptop shut. It was too late. And now I knew. She didn't vanish. She ran. Because she saw this coming. Because maybe, deep down, she always knew who I really was. Ryan thought he buried the truth, but the ghost of what he did is just getting started. Subscribe now, because the past won't stay dead. What would you do if you were Brianna? I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about that video. Brianna's face. The cold in her voice. If anything happens to Cole, I'm telling everyone. But Cole was already gone. And she knew. She knew what I'd done. I called every contact I had. Burned through favors. Tried tracing the video. Tried tracking her location. Nothing. She disappeared like smoke. And now every sound, every shadow, felt like a setup. Then I got the knock. It was subtle, polite, almost gentle. I opened the door to find a man in his late 50s. Tan coat, wire-rimmed glasses, a clipboard in hand. "Mr. Mayor," he said, "mind if I come in?" He didn't wait for an answer. He just walked inside like he owned the place. I asked who he was. Let's just say, "I speak for the one person who still thinks you can be saved." I laughed. I don't even know why. Maybe I was cracking. "Saved?" I said. "From what?" He turned and looked me dead in the eye. "From yourself." He sat on my couch like we were old friends. Then he pulled out a folder. Photos, screenshots, email logs, security footage from my building. And finally, the last one. A signed document. A Black Ops mission request. My name. He laid it all out on the table like a puzzle already solved. I didn't speak. I couldn't. He leaned forward, voice calm. "This is your second war, Ryan. The first one made you a hero. This one made you a criminal." He said he wasn't from the press. He wasn't law enforcement. He was sent by someone I'd never heard of, a private investigator tied to Cole's family. Apparently, Cole's younger brother worked in counterintelligence. He knew the chopper story was fake. He knew the deployment wasn't real. They had planted the crash story to smoke me out. And I walked right into it. I asked what he wanted. He didn't say, money. Just truth. And then he handed me a flash drive. "Play this in private. Then decide who you want to be next." He stood, adjusted his coat, paused at the door. "One more thing," he said. "Brianna? She's alive. And she's not running anymore." Then he left. I stood there, heart pounding. I locked the door, closed the curtains, plugged in the flash drive, and watched. It was a confession. Her confession. Brianna sat in front of a white wall, holding a folded letter. "I should have stopped it," she whispered. "I knew it was wrong. But I kept going. I loved him. And now, someone's dead." She unfolded the letter. It was from Cole, dated the night before his fake deployment. Said, "If something happens to me, it's not an accident. Ryan did this. Don't stay quiet. Expose him. No matter what it costs." I dropped the flash drive. Everything inside me wanted to scream. Because I wasn't just the villain. I was the trap. And now, I'm the one being hunted. The walls are closing in. Ryan thought he erased the past, but ghosts have receipts. The world is about to find out who the mayor really is. Drop a comment. Should Brianna go public? Turn on notifications. You won't want to miss the fallout. After I watched the video, I sat in the dark for hours. No movement, no noise, just my thoughts and my fear. It was over. I knew it. Brianna knew it. The man who came to my door, he knew it too. They had everything. Every file, every image, every motive. There was no damage control, no spin, no PR miracle. Then came the leak. Monday morning, 6:42 a.m. My name, her name, the affair, the photos, front page, national, trending in 12 minutes. By 9 a.m., I was locked in a conference room with my lawyers and my comms director. Phones buzzing like fire alarms. I kept my head down, silent, until someone burst into the room holding a tablet. "You need to see this." It was a live broadcast. Brianna, in front of a courthouse. She looked tired, her hands shaking slightly as she held the mic. But her voice? Unshaken. "My name is Brianna Monroe. I'm not here today to play victim. I'm here to tell the truth. About what happened. About who Ryan Carter really is. And what I lost because of him." My heart dropped. Because I didn't know what she was going to say next. Then she said, "I'm pregnant. For months. The child is his." Silence. Even the reporters froze. She took a shaky breath and continued. "I didn't come forward for revenge. I came forward because the man I loved, my husband, is dead. And the man who helped end his life is still pretending to be a leader." She stepped back. Didn't cry. Didn't flinch. Just stared straight into the camera. I felt my stomach twist. The room around me blurred. I wasn't just exposed. I was buried. By noon, the governor had issued a statement. By 3 p.m., City Council had begun the process to remove me. By sunset, protesters were outside City Hall chanting, "Justice for Cole." My staff resigned. Donors pulled out. Even my lawyer backed away. But none of that hit me as hard as the ultrasound. It arrived by email. No subject line. No message. Just the image. A grainy black and white blur of a heartbeat. Hers. Ours. I stared at it for hours. And for the first time since this began, I cried. Not because I got caught, but because I realized I couldn't undo any of it. Not Cole's death. Not Brianna's pain. Not the way I destroyed everything I ever touched. That night, I tried to write a letter. To her. To the child. To whoever I'd become. But the words never came. All I could write was my name. Then I signed it. And walked out into the night. Not as a mayor, not as a soldier, not as a man. But as a ghost. Ryan thought power could bury the truth. But now he's lost everything, except the child he never meant to create. Will Ryan disappear forever? Or face the truth and the life growing because of him? Drop your thoughts below. Is there any redemption left for Ryan? Hit subscribe. Turn on notifications. This story's not over yet. I left the city the night everything crumbled. No press release. No public apology. No goodbye. Just silence. I drove north. No destination. Just miles. Cold air. A half-packed bag. And the weight of every mistake I ever made sitting in the passenger seat. For the next 6 months, I didn't speak to anyone from my old life. No politics. No city hall. No campaign trail. No Brianna. But I thought about her every day. About the baby. About Cole. About the kind of man I'd become, one I never planned to be. Then, one night in January, I got a call. I didn't recognize the number, but I answered. It was her. She sounded tired. Quiet. She said one sentence. "The baby's here." Then silence. She didn't say if I could come. She didn't say if I should. But she didn't hang up. The next morning, I drove back to DC. Parked outside a small rental house in a quiet neighborhood. Same city, but everything looked different now. Like I was walking through the ashes of a life I burned. She opened the door. No makeup. No words. Just a look. I couldn't read it. Anger? Grief? Forgiveness? Maybe all of them at once. She let me in. There, in a small bassinet near the window, was a little girl. She looked nothing like me, but her eyes had the same green fire as her mother's. I reached toward her, then stopped. "I don't know if I should," I whispered. Brianna nodded slowly. "She deserves to know who you are, even if it's complicated." I held my daughter for the first time. And something inside me cracked. I didn't feel powerful. I didn't feel forgiven. I didn't feel like a man who deserved this. But I felt something. Something real. Then Brianna sat across from me and said, "She's healthy. But we lost another." I didn't understand. "What do you mean?" She looked down. I was pregnant with twins. The second heartbeat disappeared around 5 months. They said it just happens sometimes. But I knew better. This was my price. My punishment. Not from Brianna. Not from the world. From God. From the universe. From the silence between who I was and who I could have been. I stayed 2 more hours. Held my daughter. Said nothing. Cried quietly when no one was watching. Then I stood to leave. Brianna walked me to the door. And just before I stepped out, she said, "You don't get to be the hero. Not in this story." I nodded. I know. That was the last time I saw her. I still send money. Quietly. No return address. No expectation. Just something. People think the worst part of sin is getting caught. It's not. It's living through the moment you realize what you destroyed. And knowing the pieces will never fit the same again. I was Ryan Carter, mayor, veteran liar. But now, I'm just a man sitting in a cheap cabin in the mountains, watching seasons change, writing letters I'll never send. Trying to make peace with the fact that some names won't go down in history, but in whispers. Whispers of warning. Some stories aren't about justice. They're about truth and what it costs. If this story moved you, share it. If it hurt a little, maybe it was supposed to. Tell us in the comments. Did Ryan deserve redemption? Subscribe to the channel for more haunting true-to-life tales like this. And to anyone out there carrying guilt, grief, or secrets, you're not alone.